Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Alex and this is part 2 of the little Hector air rifle rebuild. On the first video I stripped it all down, found out why it wasn't firing, and now it's going to be a case of seeing whether I can do something about it, but also giving it a little bit of a spruce up along the way as well. So I'm going to start with the stock. Let's see how that goes. So what I was doing there was just spraying some normal water onto the stock. The reason being is it helps raise some of the fibres of the wood, so you can sand it down again and you get a much smoother finish. I picked up that little nugget of wisdom from a chap called Dale over in Dale's workshop. Definitely worth a check out if you're into all things tools and woodwork and stuff. Cheers out. So what I've done here is I've just cleaned the stock down with some white spirit. Once all that's dried off, I will get on with the stock oil. Now I've used this on another gun project before, and it comes out really well. So whilst I'm waiting for the white spirit to dry off, what I'll do is start on a clean up of all the internal parts, and then get on to trying to clean the inside of the barrel as well. So while the oil on the stock is drying and waiting to be finished, I've decided to turn my attention to trying to make a trigger guard. What I've done is I've roughly cut out a template out of cardboard, so it gives me an idea of what it's going to go like with the trigger in place. Then I've transferred that over to a piece of graph paper, which I'm going to cut out, and then I'm going to transfer it over to a piece of metal that I'm using. In this case it's a very old hinge. I'm hoping the metal's not going to be too thick, but once it's all cut out and it's about that thin, we should be able to bend it in place. But I want it to be reasonably strong anyway. So after a lot of bending, hammering, cutting, grinding, this is what I've ended up with. So it does fit, but I want to get it a bit better finessed than this, and then I'll probably get it blued as well. So I'll do most of the sanding down off camera anyway, and you'll be able to see what it looks like in a little while. Now time to try and make some sense of which order these packing washers go in. That I know fits over there, so when it's inside the barrel this part protrudes in order for the washer to fit over it, and then that definitely fits to that. This one I know is right at the end, so that means that that must fit somewhere in there, and that does sort of feel as though it fits that way. And then we've got our piston or plunger, which is falling apart. There is some wood in that, but there also seems to be wood in that as well. Now I'm not sure this is completely crumbled apart and it's just impacted over the years, but it's going to be an interesting one, this is. I managed to get very cheap off the internet some leather cut-offs, and they are identical size, believe it or not. I can't believe it. So now I've got to do is try and make some of these into some of those. First of all, I'm going to need to find out where the centre of that is. So all I'll do is a very simple idea. Draw around that, cut it out. So once I've got that, all I do is fold it in half and fold it in half again, if I can get it done, so that point then will be the centre, and that point is the centre then. So that's that marked in the leather, and I'm just going to try and find my leather cutter and see whether I can punch a hole in it. There we go, one hole. I was wondering how on earth I'm going to replicate that when it suddenly dawned on me. Cut one of the leather circles in half, or near as damn it, and then I realised I had exactly what I needed. It's an eyelet punch. So there we go, one replacement. And as you can just about see, with the barrel fitted and all the packing washers in place, we've got a little hole going all the way through, something that was missing last time. The plunger and the piston generates its own problems in the fact that it's actually bonded, so I can't remove that, and to be honest, the diameter is exactly where it should be. So the only thing I can think of is to sand this down as level as possible and then cut off another piece of leather, glue it on and hope for the best. Fingers crossed. Using my wonderfully vintage but unpronounceable calipers, I've managed to get it so it's 5.5mm pretty much all the way around the edge of the piston. So we're very, very close to getting some leather glued on there and almost firing it. Can't wait. Despite how it looks on camera, there is actually quite a bit of surface rust on this, so I'm going to give it a good going over some wire wool and some white spirit, and then hopefully we'll see whether I want to give it a bluing or whether I want to leave it au natural. The repair on the piston seemed to have worked quite well actually. I've also given it a good soaking in neat's foot oil. That just helps soften the leather up a little bit, so it should slide a bit better. So whilst I'm deciding whether to blue or not to blue, next step is get it put back together again. So I'm going to be using very sparingly a little bit of moly grease on any of the metal to metal contact points. And it's ready to go back in the barrel. And this is a finished article. I did just give it a couple of light coats with blue, then I've rubbed it all down with some oil, just standard oil. Trigger guard is fitted. It's not brilliant, but it'll do. I'm quite pleased with it. First attempt, I don't think I'm going to be too upset by that. So the big question is, does it actually fire? Well, let's give it a go. did find the very end of the barrel there was actually some damage, so I'm just going to push the pellet in a little bit, so we'll see how that is. So there we go. It does actually work. I'm really pleased with that. I even managed to find a new spring which I had lying around for the trigger, and that eventually got fitted in, and it works a treat. I will also show you, this is one I did a long time ago. It's a bit like a sniper rifle compared to that one. This is also a junior. This is a Webley and Sons Jaguar, and this actually belonged to my brother. We both had air rifles when we were very young. It then went to my dad, and it then came to me, and I did a bit of a clean up on it, did the stock, redid the blue in on it, so maybe it's due a strip down at some point inside, see what it looks like. Thanks for watching, catch you on the next one.